And we are back. Yes, if you are listening right now on adrenalineradio.com or adviceradio.com, you are listening to Behind the Lens. I'm Debbie Lynn Elias, film critic and creator and host of Behind the Lens. And while you can find my reviews and interviews in various places in print and online around the world every day, you can find me here every single Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, with Behind the Lens. And I see my trusty sidekick, my sound engineer Brian, playing and typing in the booth, and God only knows what he's doing. What are you doing?
Posting on our Facebook page as well as our Twitter page that the show is now live and people can tune in. Obviously they know since
But in case they're not listening and they're on social media.
Yeah, no, that's why the importance of social media has really dawned on me in the last couple of months, having started my own podcast. If you're not active, then they're not there.
Yeah.
But we appreciate everybody listening to the program that tunes in weekly and then downloads the podcast also. That's a step more than you should be taking when listening live, and we appreciate that for sure.
But of course, in addition to archiving in the podcast after the live radio broadcast being available on the adrenalineradio.com website, this afternoon you will find it on moviesharkdeblore.com, and tomorrow you will find it on iTunes, Elias Entertainment. So please feel free. Check it out. And then we also do a 2-camera video shoot every single week, which goes into edit. For those of you that are looking for the videos of the past 2 weeks, I apologize that we do not have them yet, but it is all in the hands of the United States Post Office, because when they tell you are sending something 2-day priority, it turns out, in fact, you are not sending something 2-day priority, even when you are paying for 2-day priority. When you send something overnight, it is not overnight. We are now in day 14, waiting for our editor, Lydia, to get the SD cards to edit the show from 2 weeks ago. So, thank you, not United States Post Office. Very, very disgruntled about this. I've already gone on a tirade once this morning, have I not, Brian? And he nods his head like you're going to see him.
Sorry.
No.
Yes.
That's okay. But I guess we should tell people about our very, very special guest today. I am beyond thrilled to have all of these gentlemen with us live at 11:15. Fabulous filmmaker, my dear friend, David Spaltro is calling in from, he's either live from New York or now live from New Jersey, because I know he just moved. Into a beautiful apartment, I might add. Those old world apartments back east, fabulous. David is with us to talk about his film. You may remember it as In the Dark. Now has distribution. The distributor renamed the film to Dark Exorcism. We're going to talk to David about that one. But it is coming out in September. So that's very exciting, especially considering how good the film is and what a great filmmaker David is. So David will be with us at 11:15 and 11:30. Calling in from Scotland, no less, we have Ken Petrie and Gabriel Robertson. Ken is the producer. Gabriel's the writer-director of one of the most beautiful and special short films that I have seen in many a year. It's called The Gift. It is about a birthday boy, a guitar, a choice, and Tupelo, Mississippi. And I will leave it at that for you to ponder until Ken and Gabriel are live with us at 11:30. And, of course, we will have some sound bites of exclusive interviews and more coming up. But it is Brian's time to shine here with his weekly Star Wars Countdown.
This deserves its own theme song, but I don't have any. And if we played the Star Wars theme song, then we would both be paying royalties.
Which neither of us can afford.
Nope, and that's fine with me. Star Wars Episode 8.
We'll have to ask Andrew if he can write something for us.
Yes, yeah.
Either Andrew or we'll get Nick and the boys from L.A. River to write.
Since they are already writing a song for me.
Yes.
And my love for Star Wars.
And the Andrew that we're talking about is Andrew Elefortides, who wrote our theme music for Behind the Lens.
Yeah, as well as our bumper to go to commercials
Our
and
all of our music
to hurry you up.
to
at the
hurry
end of
me
the year.
up. The hurry up music, yes.
Star Wars Episode 8 comes out in 500 days, 12 hours, 54 minutes, and as soon as I'm done with this sentence, 19 seconds.
But isn't that exciting that it's 500 days?
Yeah, now it's 500. Yeah.
I like that.
Now, but Rogue One is significantly less than that. It's 136 days, 12 hours, and 54 minutes to go until Rogue One. I got some interesting news here. I think you're going to appreciate this from Star Wars and Disneyland.
Yes.
Disneyland announced over the weekend, or about May, yeah, over the weekend, had to be over the weekend, that they're opening up the railroad again, the train that rides around.
Oh, very nice.
Well, they're opening it up in the summer, so
This summer.
yeah, no, next summer.
Oh.
So they haven't given a date on when they're going to open up Star Wars Land, but if they're going to open up the railroad in the summertime, they're not going to run the railroad through a construction site. So there's
Right.
speculation that we might have Star Wars Land in the summer of 2017.
Or a visual portion thereof.
Wherever the train would be passing,
Right.
it would have to be a completed area of Star Wars Land, unless they're going to completely run the railroad around it, which I don't see that happening. But that's exciting. That means we do have a start time or an end time for the construction of Star Wars Land at Disneyland sometime in the summer of 2017. That's sooner than I expected. I was thinking we were going to have Star Wars Land in 500 days, closer to the release of Episode 8, but seeing as they have released the information about the railroad, they're not going to run the railroad.
That's something to think about. It could be a tease for us. But, no, that's very exciting.
Oh, yeah. I'm buying my pass again next year, specifically for that reason.
Of course you are.
To go to
So the railroad isn't running at all now, is it?
No. There's certain trains stationed at certain parts, like at New Orleans Square. There's a train station there, and then the train stationed at the entrance of Disneyland. They'll move it back and forth every once in a while, yeah. But for the most part, the train hasn't been running since 2015.
And that's horrible.
Oh, yeah. And it was such a useful way to get around the park.
That is the only way I would go around the park.
Now, we have to walk around everywhere. And, it's frustrating, too, that you can't go through Big Thunder Mountain over into the other sections of the park. That's all closed off also. It's for Star Wars Land, but that's
It's the price of progress, and sometimes it's a price I'm not willing to pay.
I mean, if we're gonna stay in Star Wars, I mean, in Disneyland news, just real quick, they're tearing down the tower. Not tearing down, but they're changing the Tower of Terror over to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, this disturbs me and concerns me that everything's becoming Marvel, Lucas. Where is the Disney of Disney?
Yeah. Well, there's certain parts of it. As long as they don't touch the Haunted Mansion, I think I'll be fine.
Oh, okay. I could have a panic attack and get apoplectic right now over that whole thought. That cannot happen.
No. And I'm sure they would. Or the Tiki Room. You leave those two alone, and we're good. We're good.
Well, I know they just reopened the music in the outdoor music.
Yeah, they're doing a concert series starting at the end of this week, actually.
Which another person like yourself who loves Disneyland beyond belief, Michael Hall, who owns and runs all the screening rooms for the press and the studios in Beverly Hills. Michael is passionate about Disneyland, and I know that was something he was very upset about because for him, that's great. After a hard day, 14 hours of work, you go to Disneyland, you just sit there and chill and listen to live music.
Yeah.
So that's reopening. So that's good. But we also had a big TV weekend yesterday. And I'm very, very, very thrilled that TNT has picked up The Last Ship for season 4. So stay tuned for that because we're working out logistics to have Bren Foster, Wolf himself, do a live call-in. And, of course, we're going to get Al Cornell on here live. In addition to excerpts of my exclusive with him we've already had, we're going to get Al on here live and talk about what's happening on The Last Ship. So that's very exciting. And then, for all of you Sharknado fans, Brian did not see Sharknado. Sharknado is one of the campiest, most fun TV movies you will ever see. It is hilarious. And last night was Sharknado, The Fourth Awakens. And it did awaken. We had Cow-nados, Fire-nados, Shark Nuke-nados. It was just a campy film lover's delight with every reference to, from references, visual and dialogue, to The Wizard of Oz, to Twister, to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was fabulous, fabulous. So anybody watching television, Sci-Fi Channel, they're going to be doing encore presentations all week. If you haven't seen it, see it. You will just laugh yourself silly. But let's get to the business of hand and today's Behind the Lens. So what do you think? Should we start with, since we're doing teases leading up to Pete's Dragon next week, which opens on the 12th. And for those of you of my generation and maybe even younger generations who have seen the original Pete's Dragon with a green and pink Pete, animated Pete, Helen Reddy, Mickey Rooney, that's not what you're going to get with this new live action Pete's Dragon. What you are going to get is Bryce Dallas Howard and Robert Redford. So I had a chance the other week to talk with Robert Redford during a round table, and we already heard one clip from him talking about the difference between a director hat and an actor hat and how that comes into play for him when he is on set and working on a film like Pete's Dragon with a first-time feature director and the collaboration. But at the heart of it all is, this is something, you don't think of Robert Redford with family movies, children's movies. He did do voicing of a horse in the animated Charlotte's Web. That could be his big claim to family film fame. So why? What led him to doing Pete's Dragon?
I'm just so thrilled to see you in this film, because now a whole generation of kids will get to know the magic of the storytelling of Robert Redford.
Oh, that's very true.
You know, as well as the thematics of this film. I'm curious as to what led you to a family film other than voicing in Charlotte's Web. You're not known for this.
No,
but
that's why I did it.
What was the appeal of this? Was it the environmental and the conservation subtext that was going on, or the idea of the magic of storytelling?
The magic. That's what it was. When I was a kid, I grew up with that word being paramount. That word was huge as a child growing up, thanks. Because you were little and the world was bigger than you were. So anytime you saw that word, it meant that there was touching something larger than your life. So you loved that idea. So the word magic was very paramount when I was a kid, and then you outgrow it. Pretty soon you're living a life where there's no magic anymore, and you kind of regret it. You say, gee, that's sad, we kind of lost that. So the idea that I could play a part in a project that really has to do with the word magic, and you keep that alive. And, you know, as you get older, the world gets darker and things get more cynical around you, and you miss that. And so the idea of being in a project that could bring that back, I like that day. Also, I have grandkids, and I was raised by being told a story, mostly to calm me down at night, so I go to sleep. But then it meant a lot to me to be told a story. Like, to me, there was nothing greater than Once Upon a Time. If I ever heard that Once Upon a Time, I thought, And so that meant a lot to me as a kid. So I decided to do the same for my children, and now the grandchildren. So we sort of passed that down, that idea of storytelling, using the element of magic, is something that's passed on through my family.
And there will be more in the coming weeks from Robert Redford and Bryce Dallas Howard. But I like teasing you with things like Robert Redford and Pete's Dragon, because Pete's Dragon holds a very special place in my heart, and having already seen the new version, it has a place secure there as well. But talk about magic and somebody dear to my heart. Hello, David Spaltro.
Hello.
How are you, my love?
I am doing good, Debbie.
So are we in New York or we in New Jersey? Where are we now?
I am officially a New Jerseyite. I guess that's the way to say it again. So
yeah, but you got a really great apartment.
I do. It's been a really good transition to go like full circle. I'm from Jersey City originally, which is like right outside New York City, and so to come back and like kind of stabilize and try and get some more stories down on paper to make.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've just been slacking here, boy.
Yeah, yeah, I've been lazy. I haven't been doing much.
But now, all that hard work, and all the pain and the journey and the glory even has been well worth it, because now In the Dark is now officially Dark Exorcism and is being released.
I know. Doesn't that just look so amazing on a resume?
Well, it looks fabulous on a resume, but look, I still am not happy with the title change.
I'll be completely honest. I wasn't super thrilled with the title, but I also, having been down this road and other peers of mine and their distribution, it could have been a lot worse, and it has been a lot worse. So I am really just very excited to have it after the long last 2 years of putting it together and dealing with all kinds of things and people, that people will have a chance to kind of, we're out September 13th, so people can get it on VOD. It's a really nice platform release, so I'm just very happy that everyone else's work who did a great job on this film will be able to be seen.
Well, now is it also going? It's a platform release and it's going to be on VOD. Is it doing DVD, Blu-ray at the same time, or is that coming after?
Yeah, we're going to be DVD, so you'll probably be able to get us in Best Buy and Target and all those places. We'll be through Amazon Prime. And a bunch of other stuff. I think Hulu eventually,
Nice.
iTunes, Google Play, Vudu. There's so many different platforms right now, but we have a pretty decent. So there's no excuses. Anybody you want to see this film, you'll be able to find it.
And it is so worth having seen it myself. Now, let me ask you: did the distributor, as so often happens, they demand a recut? Did you have to?
No.
You didn't have to do a re-edit or change anything?
No. I know that they, as all distributors do, once they take it over, and I wasn't the leading producer on this project, so a lot of decisions were out of my hands. They wanted to, put their own spin on marketing it, whether it's a recut of the trailer or the title or the poster. But they've actually been, Breaking Glass, they've been really great to me in the emails I've had with them. And they asked, for some so we actually have some supplemental materials on this DVD release. So if you want to pick up the DVD, you'll get a bunch of interviews with the cast and crew from our festival tour, put together with some clips.
Extras. People always love the extras.
It's true.
So now, for those that have not followed the In the Dark, aka Dark Exorcism journey, what is this film? Because this was also your first real foray into the horror genre.
Absolutely, yeah. It was kind of an excuse to try my hand at horror and just do something. I had been approached by an investor he basically was he had a little chunk of money and he wanted to make a horror film, and so he didn't really have a script or any particular direction that he wanted to go in. So it was a unique opportunity to. Though he had to be involved throughout the project, which was its own horror story, he didn't really have, as long as he approved the script, I could pretty much do what I wanted within the realm of the budget and his approval. So it was a unique opportunity of, I wasn't sure if I could do it, if I really wanted to do it, but it was, at a time where I really wanted to go back out there and just do something, and this was a chance to do something that, if it was about me just going out and trying to raise the money and put it together, I might never have tried a horror film. Mm-hmm. So, and I also wanted to try my hand at making a different kind of horror film, not your typical, part of the reason why I never did one is the scripts I got were very, very low grade and very exploitive and just nothing I was interested in putting my name on or working on. So I was like, okay, can I give this guy what he wants? Can I respect the genre and do a horror film, but can I retain some sense of who I am as a storyteller? And hopefully the final product, through all the craziness, still reflects that.
Well, how did you come up with this story itself so that it's not typical cheesy camp?
I watched a lot of stuff. I think I had almost kind of lost my respect for the genre, or at least maybe I didn't treat it as seriously as I did when I was a kid because of how much exploitive, because horror is really big right now, but it's kind of like people just throw together the same old tropes. But I went back and watched stuff that I really remembered loving as a kid, and Stephen King novels and John Carpenter and the X-Files, and just things that I was like, okay, so horror, and a lot of genre filmmaking, sci-fi and everything else, it has all these, special effects and all this goody stuff. But the stuff that really works for me and that I think works for most people is when there's a solid story and a good cast and they use the genre to heighten the story. They try to tell a story that's really about something else, the human condition, something political, like George Romero used to do with the zombie films. And then, in order to tell that story better, they use the metaphor of monsters or demons or, aliens or just things that it's like the sugar, in the medicine that helps it go down. So I wanted to do something more like that, I think, with this project.
Well, and by creating that, you have assembled an amazing cast. Grace Folsom, who you worked with before and who just blew me away with your last feature, Things I Don't Understand.
Oh, yeah.
And then you bring in Lynn Justinger, and of course, I don't know, some girl named Kayla Leisure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know where she came from.
I don't know. And
yeah.
And of course, my pick of the whole film, Fiona Harrigan.
Oh, Fiona. Fiona's a great find. Fiona's somebody who I met in an acting class that I was teaching a workshop, and she actually took my class twice. And even from the first time that she read for me, I was like, wow, I want to work with you. And I didn't have anything going on at the time. So when I wrote this script, I was very fortunate that I got a lot of the people I wanted, pretty much everybody in the film that I had wanted, but I kind of wrote that role with her in mind. And she's been going to all the festivals and she's won a bunch of awards for it. And, she's definitely one of the ones that people say stand out. So,
well,
yeah, she's great.
As paranormal specialist, Dr. Kern, she is akin to the next Lynn Shay. What Lynn Shay is.
I could see,
very
absolutely.
much so. I've told you this before. Fiona definitely is. She is the next Lynn Shay. Because, as many films as Lynn does, hey, for all you indie filmmakers, let me tell you, go, if you can't afford Lynn or you can't get Lynn because she's working so much, go to Fiona.
I'm sure Fiona appreciates that price degrade on her. I would recommend any filmmaker. Not only is she super talented as an actress, but especially when you're an indie filmmaker and you're dealing with other stuff and time and stuff, you really want good energy on set. And Fiona is one of those people, like a lot of people I'm very fortunate to work with, who is just awesome to be around. She really wants to be involved in the project. She gives her all. She doesn't complain. She had the most, no spoilers here, but, with a lot of prosthetic effects throughout this film, she had probably some of the most arduous makeup effects and, a lot of being stuck under it for many hours. And she was just fantastic. Never complained, was raring to go, just awesome.
That's something that, I really love with this film is the level of your production values, because so often with horror films, there are filmmakers out there, they're so anxious to make a film and they think horror is so easy to do and you slap it together and you do it. And in many cases, that's exactly what it looks like. You slapped it together with whatever you could find and you make a film. Yours has such high production values, and I know a lot of that is due to your DP, Gus Sachs, who is amazing.
Yeah, Gus Sachs, Andrew Hubbard, who's the gaffer with the lighting design, they both teamed up on Things I Understand. We literally had, peanuts to work with. I was told I was never allowed to say the budget, and I'm still not, but I'm just going to say that it rhymes with $75,000. And it may or may not have been shot in 12 days. And I think one of the things outside of, you have really good actors, you have really good crew people that care about their craft. Everyone's kind of doing it. I make sure everyone gets paid, but everyone's doing it for a song. But if you have people who know what they're doing, it's penny wise, pound foolish. And I think that's the problem with a lot of indie films. They're like, well, we don't have the money, so we're not even going to try. And instead be like, how do we use the money and maximize it the most? And one of the biggest hurdles on this was I was paired up with a pseudo producer who's like a human dumpster fire of independent filmmaking when it came to stuff like that. It's a very important lesson where no matter how little money you have, if you treat everybody with respect, if you try to find the right people, and you guys are all on the same page doing something, then you can rise above it. You can make, something that rhymes with $75,000 look like something that rhymes with $1 million, and it's that's the kind of mentality you have to pull this stuff off.
Could you have, and I already know the answer to this, if you did not have Gus, if you did not have your gaffer, if these were not people that you had already worked with before, could you have made this film and have it turn out as good as it did?
No, I don't even think we would have gotten through day one. I mean, I'll be completely honest, just going through the process of making this film, even with the great team that I was able to cobble together and even bringing people on in post, there were several times the ship almost, tipped over. And I think, no matter how hard you work, it's not, again, it's not, has nothing to do with even having a low budget. Low budget is, there are people who can make miracles happen with nothing. And then there are people who can be given an unlimited, blank check and choke on that. So that's not the issue. Sometimes the issue is people not really knowing what they want, people not really caring about what they're doing or being honest about what their agenda is and making a film to begin with. And also just not doing their homework and understanding what it takes to make a film, what it takes to finish a film, and what it takes to get a film out, and I think a lot of that is what really almost, again, even with a great team, almost blew this up several times. But no, I mean, if I was missing even one person that I really fought to get on this project, I think it wouldn't have even gotten out of a hole of production.
Well, yeah, and you also paid attention to a very key element of horror films, paranormal films, sound design.
Yeah.
And I bring up sound only because next week in studio, I've got Formosa Group's Scott Hecker, Academy Award nominated. He just did the Batman versus Superman. He was supervising sound editor. So I'm very excited that I'm going to have Scott here in studio next week to talk sound design.
Yes.
And editing. But that's something else with Dark Exorcism, that your sound, it's very crucial, it's very critical in some very, very key parts of the film. How much time, how laborious was it to come up with the right sound design and edit?
This post was probably harder than the shooting on anything I've ever done. And that's another reason why I'm really glad that I did this kind of film and took a chance, because it taught me as a filmmaker so much more about what you can do with sound and score to heighten a film. Because the other two films I've done, they had really good score and they had sound, some sound design, but it was mainly dramatic, comedic, chamber room stuff.
But
this
ambient.
is a film. A horror film lives and dies on its sound design and its score. And I didn't know the film even worked really until we, went into the final mix and everything was kind of put together. It just made it a completely different film. So it was very important to me to find, Fritz Myers, who scored a bunch of indie stuff, and is a fantastic musician.
The score is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. He was great to work with. He really understood, and I tried to give him as much freedom as possible to kind of bring it up. And Storm, who's the sound designer, editor, mixer, I've worked with him on everything I've done. So we already had a great working relationship, and I think he had a lot of fun. I think we almost blew up his machine a couple of times trying to mix demon voices with like every tool in the book.
Boys and their toys.
It was so important. It was so important for the film.
So now, having survived this this journey of in the dark to the Dark Exorcism, what did you learn about yourself as a filmmaker? What kind of guidance could you give to other filmmakers who embark on a journey like this and then go through, all the way up through this distribution process and the sacrifices that you have to make in order to get your film out there?
I think it's a lesson that I had already, in a weird way, though, the lesson that I learned probably most of all is something that I kind of already knew, and if anything, it was just like double-bolted reinforced, is that whenever you take on a project or you have a project that you believe in and want to make, really be honest with yourself about what it is you want to do. Really be honest with yourself about, the reality of what you're doing, and willing to sacrifice. And just keep that, in your mind's eye throughout the entire experience, because you'll deal with, no matter how good a situation, no matter how good a situation you thought you had, you're going to deal with all kinds of issues as a filmmaker, whatever the budget, whatever. It's the price of admission, as a good friend once told me. So if you keep in mind what it is you're trying to do, what it is you really care about, no matter what happens, no matter who you have to deal with, no matter what you have to go through to finish, and hopefully you will stick through and finish. I think that's the kind of the carrot at the end of the stick that keeps you going. For me, it was, I said I would do this thing. I knew I could do it. I knew that, and I definitely had moments of quitting or throwing in the towel on this several times. I'm sure we've had some private off the record chats about that. But what really kept me involved was, again, I brought people on that I personally loved working with and cared about, and I thought did enough work that to stop halfway, no matter whose fault or problem was happening, I really wanted to push through and finish it. So again, I'm just really happy that it's coming out and people can see it, and we can share the urban legends of the creation and fight to get it out forever. But yeah, man, keep an honest dialogue with yourself about why you do what you do, and whatever happens, hold on to that and make all your decisions from that, I think.
Now, have you exorcised the experience of this yet? Some of the more unsavory aspects?
Yeah, I really did. I mean,
you put so much of you put 150% of yourself into this film, and I know this. And I know how much of a toll it was taking on you. And I've seen this, over my decades on so many levels with so many filmmakers, but never to this degree, David. And I say that with all the love that I have for you. What you put into this, I have never seen anyone endure.
That's an interesting honor I will have to have. I'll tell you this. I think the hardest part, and I'm sure there's a lot of filmmakers that are listening that probably feel the same way, is that you would do all the hard work and all the sacrifice 1,000 times over and more. What really, I think, cuts to the bone in a situation like what I went through or other people have had to go through is when you do that work, because filmmaking at its core is a drain, is a drag, but you love it. And when you're working with people who really, at the end of the day, don't love it and who don't appreciate the sacrifices in the work, I think more, or that you're doing all this stuff and you're taking, you're sacrificing so much, and then there's people around you who are involved with it with super quotation marks that just aren't there and just do not care. You start to question, like, are you crazy? Like, why are you doing this? And again, I think that's all the more reason why, if you have people you care about involved in the project, if you have a concrete thing that you can hold on to that's like, why am I doing this? Why did I agree to do this? This is it. That kind of, I don't know if it insulates you from the heartache and the stress, but it definitely keeps you honest and it keeps you going as much as you can. But yeah, no, I've come a long way from how exhausted mentally and physically and that I was, and I think I was really nervous to get back on set and get involved in anything. So I did some small short films over the last year and just kind of took some time to step away a bit while finishing up the film and getting it out there. So yeah, I'm rejuvenated and back to ready to go crazy again.
Well, you better, because I'm getting really bored waiting for another script to read.
I will have one soon. I think now that I'm stabilized and I have a little office I can go to, I will have something for you to peek real soon.
Oh, good. Well, my friend, I can't thank you enough. I got inspired yesterday when I said to you, hey, you want to come talk about the film? So now everybody has a chance to pre-order it in time for September 13th.
Yes, you can go to Amazon right now, actually, and pre-order it. So
yes, I know. I did.
Oh.
You always get my money. One way or the other, you get my money.
You're the best, Debbie.
Yeah, I know. Stop. All right, and now I'm going to go from you to Ken Petrie and Gabriel Robertson calling from Scotland.
Oh.
I know. We're global.
You're international.
It's every week.
Love it.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, David Spaltro.
Thank you so much. I'll be in chat touch with you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
And that was the fabulous David Spaltro talking about Dark Exorcism. And now, I'm so excited about these two filmmakers, Ken Petrie and Gabriel Robertson. Are you guys there?
Hi. Yeah, I think we're both here.
I hear you, but I hear you both. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, what a lovely audio connection we have. The phone companies are working well today.
Yeah, well, I think a big shout out to Skype who are helping me, me get
Uh-huh.
on the call. So, yeah, all sounds good.
Well, first of all, congratulations, guys, on distributing The Gift. You know, and so people don't get confused. This is not the horror film The Gift or any of the other gift films out that have come out in the past year. This is the most precious, poignant, beautiful short film I have seen in years.
Thank you so much. That's,
yeah, thanks for that.
You know, and I'm
so kind of you to say so.
And I'm so glad, Ken, that you emailed me to let me know that the film was coming out, that you got distribution for it.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, we spoke late last year, and you were such a fan of the film that we try and stay in touch with all those people that have supported us along the way and taken an interest. So, yeah, I just wanted to let you know, like we're trying to let everybody else know, that the film's sort of getting out there, and you can kind of grab your own copy. So, yeah, it was great to let you know that. We were thrilled that, you know, the film has got to this stage in its life. You know, it's kind of rare for a short film to find distribution, but I guess, you know, people really connected with The Gift. So
yeah. Now, without giving away, because I didn't know how much you wanted given away, so at the top of the show, you know, I just mentioned a birthday boy guitar, a choice, and Tupelo, and let people ruminate on that for a while. So why don't the two of you tell everybody what this film is about?
I think I need to let Ken do that, because I remember strict.
Oh,
rules.
Gabriel,
So
chicken.
I'm happy to ruin it, but he won't. So.
All right, Ken.
I don't mind letting the cat out of the bag. I think Gabriel. I fell in love with the story when Gabriel told me it, and his inspiration for telling this story. So I think that's a nice story that you know, Gabe, maybe you want to let people know what the story is and how we found our way to it.
It is, I mean, the background as to how this came to you, Gabriel, is beautiful. It's very touching.
What I told you the last time.
It had to do with your grandmother.
Yeah. So am I okay to ruin this, or what?
Yeah, I think so. I think, you know, most people that can put together Tupelo and a boy and a guitar and 11 years old are probably know the story already.
Yeah, we've already ruined it.
No, but you know what's surprising is so many people I know, when I was talking about the short last October, was they had no idea. They do not know the backstory of this man, of this person. So when they were people seeing The Gift for the first time, they truly had no idea, even
really?
with those clues.
Wow. I think that surprises me, but.
And then they had no clue that it was actually true.
Yeah, well, we've had that a few times. People have asked us after the film, is that true? And we thought that by saying it was a true story at the end, we'd sort of we'd let them know it was, but apparently some people just Fargo ruined it for everyone. But so the story basically was told to me by my grandmother, and she had told me about this moment in this boy's life, and she was a huge fan of Elvis. And then when we set out to make this short film, or a short film, I originally wanted to make something about John Lennon, but I just couldn't get far enough away from it, and it felt too subjective. And then I decided to sort of look into who was his hero, rather than make a film about my hero, who was his hero. And we sort of let that mull about, and then I sort of remembered this story that my grandma told me about Elvis, and from there I pitched Ken the film, and Ken loved it, and then so forth. See, so I managed to ruin the film without telling what the film's about there. That was particularly good on my behalf.
Yeah, well, that's why you're a wordsmith and a director after all, isn't it? Because you can tell a story. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, obviously, I fell in love with the simplicity yet kind of poignancy of the story, if you like, and how influential it's been, over time. Because as you know, Debbie, it's a period piece set in 1946. So it's remarkable to see how much of an impact that this kind of true events had. And it was interesting for me because it was Gabriel finding his inspiration, as a filmmaker. So it was kind of, there was a synergy there between this boy finding his inspiration and Gabriel finding his inspiration. So, yeah, and lots of people
Ken's been
helped us
working on that
tell
for a while. That.
Sorry?
I said Ken's been working on that particular sentence for a while.
I haven't actually. It was totally off the cuff, but,
I know, I'm just
anyway, it's, lots of people were very positive about us telling their story. It's one of the things Tupelo is known for, and everybody got on side with these two Scottish guys who came over to tell a really local story. So yeah, it was a great experience all around, and I think we've got a great product at the end of it, and
Well, you do.
yeah, we want to share that with people.
And so much of this, there is a great authenticity. You actually went to Tupelo. You shot in the actual store where Elvis Presley got his very first guitar. You shot on a front porch that
of the house he was born in.
of the house he was born in. You spoke with his childhood friends. You got the blessing of Priscilla Presley on this project.
Yeah, she's seen the film, and the word on the street is she really likes it. Wants to help us get it wherever we can get it. So,
Then you create this beautiful, beautiful cinematic look and feel. I mean, Gabriel, what you and your cinematographer Peter Renaves did is just stunning. I had mentioned that to both of you before. It has this beautiful visual texture. Your cutaways are not these, quick clipped, go to black, new scene opens. You incorporate. You've got the camera going up into the blue sky and then coming back down. I like to call it the Robert Redford, the natural look of a film. But it is every element of this film is just so careful and so beautiful, so meticulously done. How did the two of you go about designing this entire tonal bandwidth of the film?
Well, to be fair, it was all me.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. As you know, Peter was a director of photography for Breaking Bad, which was one of my favourite shows, certainly contemporary shows. And a lot of the influence of the photography came from that and the style, the setup. And we basically just sat down. I had a few key shots that based upon just my own inspirations, and Peter and I sat down with those in mind and sort of worked up almost like a jigsaw to fill in the blanks. Okay, how do we best tell this story? But it was always, we'd sort of always thought it was going to be a classic type of cinematography. It wasn't going to be your sort of MTV style cut in. It wasn't going to be too overtly stylish. So a lot of the style came from the classicness of it, which was a deliberate choice because of the time period and because of a lot of the films that Peter and I were trying to evoke.
Right down to the clothing, to the cars, it is all period perfect. Now I have to ask you, because you shot in Tupelo, was it very readily available to find those vintage look items that populate the film?
Well, I'll let Ken answer about the cars, but in terms of the costume, that was the only thing that I was really hands-on determined to control myself, because I knew how important they'd be, considering the film's essentially a three-hander, and it's set over such a short period of time. There's no reason why every ounce of detail on their clothing shouldn't be 100%. So that was sort of my own little private mission. and they were sourced from all around. Like Ken he was getting things sent into Mississippi from other states, and we were searching online on your eBay's, Craigslist, all that sort of stuff for bits of the clothing. But the cars, I'll let Ken tell you about, because that was actually way more interesting.
Well,
I think it's important to say as well, though, that we actually found a lot of those costumes in Tupelo.
Mm-hmm.
We did have bits sent in, but as Gabriel says, he was quite hands-on, and we found quite a lot of it locally. But also, they were all based on a family photograph of Elvis, Gladys, and Vernon from about the time from about 1945, which on the DVD, which we've just released, there's actually some historical photo albums of like what the hardware store looked like at the time, the picture that we based those costumes on, and stuff. So there's some really kind of interesting reference stuff on the disc as well. Anyway, but yeah, the cars, wow. I mean, who'd have thought that there would be so many classic car collectors in like a 10-mile radius of Tupelo, Mississippi, who all had beautiful mint condition cars and were just more than happy for them to be in the film. I had nightmares of thinking about where these cars were going to come from, and you know, all the things you go through as a producer trying to add production value and depth to your production. And in the end, there were these guys, Bobby Crouch and Scott Hendricks helped us, and Jackie Blackburn and Joe Estes, and these guys, Mike Purst and his team at the Automobile Garage, who just had these fabulous collections of cars, and you know, wanted to help out. And you know, I guess there was a bit of vanity that they wanted their beautiful cars to be, you know, committed to film cinematic history, right? But yeah, lots of very friendly people helping us out and really helping us just create an authentic location, you know.
Well, because I was blown away by the number of period perfect and in like you said, mint condition vehicles you had in this film. It just, you guys left no stone unturned for authenticity that immerses us in the period. You watch this and it feels like you are sitting right there on the bench outside of the hardware store, sitting on that front porch, watching this little boy. And speaking of little boy, I got it. I have to mention Brady Permenter, who plays our little boy named Elvis. He is amazing.
Isn't he just? He's just, like, everything about him and his family and the whole casting process and stuff was, I mean, like, you couldn't wish for a more seamless process. You know, obviously Gabriel wants to chat about casting him and stuff, but, you know, I think from what he's gone on to do, what he's done before and what he's gone on to do since, you know, he's a series regular in Underground, which I think is on WGN. So he's, you know, like he's in big shows and what have you. But Gabriel, you worked with him, I guess, really closely. So
yeah,
and you have to tell the guitar story with Brady, because it just melts my heart.
I feel really blessed to have got the opportunity to work with Brady at an age where he was clearly learning and taking everything in, and just watching him work with Xander and with Amy, both of them really went out of their way to make him feel comfortable. We saw quite a few tapes in the lead up to casting it, and it was already difficult because we were casting transatlantically, and we were getting tapes sent back to the UK, but his tape for me stood out, like, with no disrespect to the others, like I don't even know how, without being hyperbolic, but he was so good, and he played, there was in the sides that I sent out, we didn't tell any of the actors that they were auditioning for Elvis, so I basically wrote some sides to be read and taped with a few specific beats, one of which was I really wanted them to play it rebellious. And a lot of the tapes had the actors playing it a little bit more childish and tempestuous, or playing it stroppy, but he played every beat rebellious. And for me, I sort of knew before I met him that I wanted it to be him. And then when we met him, his wonderful mother Stephanie, it just sort of made it concrete. And then like I say, I felt blessed to work with him. He's unique in that, unlike a lot of child actors who are looking for their marks and like, what do you need me to do for the scene to be over? He was always questioning, always full of wonder, curiosity. He was always going and seeking out Xander, maybe running the lines, maybe we could play it like this, in the same with Amy. So, yeah, he was wonderful, and like, it's one of those things that you hope that you can work with someone again, and he's definitely one of them. I'd love to work with Brady again. Obviously, he's very age specific, so I need to. When I'm making a film about Elvis in his late teens, I'll probably look him up.
Oh my God! Well, and the thing, and the I mean, Brady and the Xander that we're talking about is Xander Berkeley, who has been around. He is an incredible veteran, and he plays Forrest Bobo, Mr. Bobo, the hardware store owner. And to watch he and Brady together is just charming. It is enchanting.
Yeah, and we were fortunate because of the sort of experience hierarchy of the cast. It felt really natural. So you had this young boy who was looking up to his mother, and then you had this mother who was looking up to the store owner for guidance in terms of how the film plays out. And that was very much what was happening on set. I mean, Amy is an experienced actress in her own right, but she was even like turning to Xander and like sort of trying to benefit from his experience. And Xander was more than happy to let anyone and everyone experience his expertise in various ways. He was an absolute joy as well. And again, not to beat the same drum, but extremely fortunate to work with Xander, and like proud to call him a friend now after that.
I mean, you just knocked it out of the park on it. You lucked out with everything. It's as if the project was charmed going into it.
Yeah. We certainly felt a lot of support and everything, when we were over there, and from everybody in the UK, but also from everybody in Tupelo that was helping out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But exactly.
Well, it's something that is important, obviously, to the film and to this young boy's career as it would pan out, is music. And you bookend the short with two very key pieces of music. You've got a little boy listening to the radio and Roy Rogers. I got to lock it in my pocket. And then you end it with Elvis Presley singing "That's All Right, Mama." How did you go about picking those two specific pieces of music?
To be honest, those were my sort of only choices. They were my first and only choices. One thing I never do when I'm writing screenplays is put the music into the script. And I sort of broke my own rule here. And it was sort of upon Ken's first reading of the draft, they were there. And it was a case of, can we get them? And fortunately enough, Ken went away and managed to secure them. But the reason I chose them was really simple, actually. Elvis had such a huge affection for him that it felt right that not only would he be listening to it, but I wanted to bookend the film with what the radio had at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So because that was playing at the start, you've got, this is what the radio's like before Elvis. This is what he's listening to. And we made a conscious choice not to have any popular music throughout the film,
Right.
other than Elvis learning to play the guitar, so that at the end you're left with the opposite side of that story. This is the radio after Elvis. So, it seems simple in conception. It really was. And the reason we picked That's All Right, Mama was twofold. Number one, it was the first record recorded at Sun, so it felt really special in that regard. And number two, the film is as much about his relationship with his mother as it is with Boris Bobo. So it felt like a really great nod to that relationship. So it's about,
unfortunately, everybody I had to deal with was very friendly as well. So it made the process of clearing those legals a little bit easier than it might have been. So
okay, now don't get used to this, guys. It is not. Everybody is not always this friendly.
No, I know I've cleared a few things in the past which have been slightly harder work, but everybody I think liked the simplicity and the kind of importance of the story. And one thing that we didn't just cover there quickly was about that story with the guitar. I think, like it was Gabriel's one of these writer-directors he's got a real truthfulness to him, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying that. You know, there's a real kind of genuine honesty in the stories he tries to tell, and I think when you see that scene with Brady strumming the guitar, that leads into, you know, him becoming Elvis, if you like, the Elvis that we know. There you go. I just ruined it for everybody. He, you know, Brady didn't know how to play the guitar. And one of the things Gabriel wanted to do was show that evolution, I guess, or that kind of, you know, this is a kid who's literally just got his first guitar. So our composer Skyped Gabriel the night before and taught Gabriel the chords and how to strum, you know, like the first 3 chords of That's All Right, Mama. And then on the day on set, Gabriel taught Brady, and he just strummed like a novice, but he was strumming the genuine first few chords of That's All Right, Mama, which like then segues us into the track playing over the credits. So I think it's, you know, it's a really genuine, honest kind of little nod to who the kid became.
Yeah.
But right at the beginning. So hopefully I melted your heart again. I'm not
You
quite
have.
that Gabriel is. But
I get little goosebumps when you tell me that story. I just got little goosebumps again.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
And, well, there's a great behind the scenes photo of me seconds before we roll on that last scene showing Brady, and when we first finished the film, that was one of the shots we couldn't show because it would ruin the film. But it was always my favourite picture.
Yeah, I was sending this press kit out to all these festivals who were going crazy for the film, and you just couldn't send them this beautiful behind-the-scenes picture because, you know, you wanted to let them discover the film of their own accord. But but you know, the cat's out the bag a little bit now. We've played it.
So
you know,
now,
festivals,
where can everybody go to get this magical piece of cinema?
So you can go to thegift-movie.com, and that there's all sorts of information there about how you can get your own copy of the film on DVD and Blu-ray, and the festivals we've played at. And you know, the film's only 13 minutes long.
I know.
There's another almost 2 hours worth of behind-the-scenes stuff. So there's interviews with Gabriel and all the cast, Brady, Xander, Amy, interviews with Guy Harris.
That was Elvis's childhood friend.
Yeah, and you know, he's like a custodian of the Elvis Presley Birthplace Museum in Tupelo. So again, he was so giving with his knowledge and his love for the project, if you like. And you know, when we showed him it, when it was finished, I think it's fair to say he was moved by it. So yeah, you know, I think there's all sorts of lovely stuff on that disc, and yeah, we're just thrilled that it's getting out there, you know. So yeah, people can go to thegift-movie.com and find out a little bit more, and maybe grab their copy if they think it's something they want to buy. So I think it's got lots of beautiful messages and lots of lovely content. So yeah.
And I'd just like to say that, just to make it really clear, the film was made by a lot of people. from our fantastic set designers and stuff, production designers, all the way up to, as you say, Peter Reynolds. Everyone made that film what it was, and it's good to have Ken and I talking about it, but we couldn't have done it without everyone that was involved. So I just want to give a massive shout out to them.
Well, unfortunately, guys, we're actually out of time here. This has been so lovely. I can't thank you enough for calling in today.
Thanks so much for having us. No, we
Yeah, you're
appreciate
very welcome.
taking the time.
You better email me with what your next project is.
We will. We're feverishly working away behind the scenes.
I want
we'll
to
let you know.
You got to keep me in the loop, boys. You got to keep me in the loop. Oh, Ken, Gabriel, thank you so much. The gift-film.com.
The gift-movie.com.
Movie. I don't have it written down in front of me. I'm trying to remember it. My brain is not functioning.
The gift-movie.com.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Debbie. Take care.
Bye-bye. And we are out of time. We're actually over time, so Brian's going to chop something out from the opening of the show. Until next week. And again, next week, in person, we've got supervising sound editor from Formosa, Scott Hecker, and Theo Taplitz will be calling in live. Until then, I'm Debbie Elias. This is Behind the Lens.